Aside from just pro-Trump propagandist outlets, very universally, Trump's first 100 days have been described not as wonderful. And so in the wake of yesterday being that, Trump's trying to change the narrative. And so he held a cabinet meeting to partake in this ritual that is, honestly, I usually look forward, even if the news is bad, to discuss with all of you, to sort of get on cameras and figure it out and do a segment. This is a segment that I just want to be honest with you, I'm not looking forward to. This is so nauseating. It's so cringy that I kind of want to just hit the eject button now, but we're going to bear through it. Let me start, actually. Dr. Kirk Honda, who is a psychologist. We'll talk more in a different segment about diving into this in detail, but he did a segment titled Diagnosing Donald Trump some time ago, and it was reviewing Mary Trump's book about Trump. And in describing, not that he's very clear, Dr. Honda, about not diagnosing from afar. So he's not officially doing that, but going through what the argument from Mary Trump was, he gives this bit of a breakdown. And I want to contextualize what we're about to watch in this Trump meeting with this from Dr. Kirk Honda.
His deep-seated insecurities have created in him a black hole of need that constantly requires the light of compliments that disappears as soon as he's soaked in it. She goes on to say, nothing is ever enough. This is far beyond garden variety narcissism. Donald is not simply weak. His ego is a fragile thing that must be bolstered every moment because he knows deep down that he is nothing of what he claims to be. He knows he has never been loved. I don't know if this is true. I just, have been saying that throughout this episode, but she makes a good case in the data she lays out, and I think she eloquently writes this out.
So at every moment of every day, which imagine how exhausting this would be, he needs the narcissism fuel, even though Dr. Kirk Honda is not saying he's diagnosing Trump as a narcissist. But if Trump were to be a narcissist, then he would need this this inferno. No, that's a bad example. It's a fire, and you just have to keep throwing logs onto the fire for it to stay alive. So badly, the clips we're going to watch, that Ann Coulter, who's so far right, said, would it be possible to have a cabinet meeting without the Kim Jong-il style tributes? Yeah, get ready, okay? These meetings are not about us. That's an important part too. Amid people's hardship, this is not for us. These cabinet meetings are for Trump, for every official to take turns. I'm not saying this, but Aaron Rupar describes it as gargling. I don't know to what, to whom, or to why is being gargled, but something's being gargled by Doug Burgum, says Aaron Rupar. I'm quoting him.
I'm going to come.
Okay. Here it is.
In your first term, when I had a chance to work with you as governor, you were courageous. The thing that's empowering this amazing group of people around this table, and you've probably assembled the greatest cabinet ever, is that this time you're not just courageous, you're actually fearless. And it's your fearlessness to take on the issues that other presidents would not touch, whether it's the work that we're doing with successfully streamlining and right-sizing government, or whether it's taking on the issues at the border, or whether it's embracing the power we need to win the AIDS race. You're fearlessly doing that, and that creates and just all of us can sprint because you're running ahead. So thank you.
Thank you, Doug.
Jaden, how does that make you feel? Same. It's disgusting. It's truly disgusting. And then please do click the subscribe button if you appreciate this show. We take whatever this is and try to make the most of it. Howard Lutnick here next tells a really fascinating story.
So much as I travel around, the attention on the Trump gold card, I mean, it makes me very popular. Last night, I was out to dinner, and someone came up and said, can I buy 10? And how do I buy 10? And I'm like, that's pretty good. It's $50 million for dinner. So, I was paying for my dinner.
Honestly, that's a really cool story. It would be cooler if it had happened, but it's cool still, despite the fact that it definitely did not happen. And then back to Doug Burgum. He hasn't had enough.
They're so proud to be serving with you. Everybody I've met, whether it's in a coal mine or at the border, law enforcement, the one thing they say on those trips is, please thank President Trump from all of us, the change that you're making.
Can we just, this is going to be really cringy. I think we're used to this because it's Trump. Jaden, can you try not to be genuine, because then it'll be extra weird, but try to I didn't know you had that. Okay, you're ready for this.
I'm ready.
Try to all right, welcome everybody. This is a Luke Beasley Show meeting. This is a Luke Beasley Show cabinet meeting. I'm joined by my executive producer, Jaden. Jaden, please tell me about the status of the show.
You know, it's just, I was at dinner the other night and someone came up to me and said, how is the show so successful? And that's because of how fearless you are. So fearless with the show, willing to subject yourself to so many clips of Donald Trump. And I don't know, it's just, I've never met anyone like it. Never met anyone like it.
Good. Can you, that's what if I did that, I posted a video and said, we're going to do sort of a recap of how things are going. Thank you, Jaden. I like to think I'm fearless. I do. No, it's as if we did that. And then next, Cole. All right, get Cole a mic. Now Cole's going to go and tell me about how great I am. It's disgusting. Then Lee Zeldin says.
Now today is a special day for many reasons. The biggest reason why we're here is that this is the 100th day of the most consequential, historic first 100 days in the history of this country.
I like how giddy he is, Mr. President. I'm just so honored to be in your presence, and sometimes I just be myself a little bit when I'm around you. You're so awesome. And
Pam?
President, your first 100 days has far exceeded that of any other presidency in this country. Ever.
Bullshit.
Ever. Never seen it.
just thank you, Cole. It doesn't stop. It's a RuPaul might call it a gargle-a-thon. It just that one person has to up the next person in how sycophantic they can be, how complimentary they can be. And you can do this. There's always compliments of presidents by their staff, obviously, right? But it can be, I think that because of your leadership, we've been able to help the American people by implementing this policy and this policy and this policy. And ultimately our goal, right? So you reference the president and then you start saying substantive things, but so much of this is just how many adjectives can we think of to describe the greatness of Trump as he sits there and stares at us, demanding us to do this than someone else.
Michael, you have anything? Mr. President, the last 4 years, the world experienced a total lack of zero leadership under Biden, and then we've had 100 days of your leadership with respect, with strength, starting with there'll be all hell to pay if you don't let our people go.
Can we circle back to this?
4 years, the world experienced a total lack of zero leadership.
The total lack of zero leadership? So there was some leadership, is what you're saying. You had one job, Mike, and you messed it up. Put up the split screen with you again, Jaden, please. We now hear from the photo from JD.
And I think what it shows to me is that the president, and you sit in the Oval Office and you see these portraits of presidents past, and let's be honest, most of them have been placeholders. They've been people who've allowed their staff to sign executive orders with an auto pen instead of men of action. And the reason the media attacks this administration as chaotic is because the president is solving the problems the American people set about to solve. He's actually doing the things that he promised that he would do. And Mr. President, it's been an honor to be part of it for the past 100 days.
I'm honestly, how many more of these do I have? My goodness, this is terrible. I'm nauseous. He says that Trump is solving the problems that the American people requested that he solved, elected him to solve. Really, JD? Really? Because his answer here, and imagine if Joe Biden never said this, Trump's answer here to rising prices, supply chain problems, and product shortages is who cares?
$1 trillion, even $1.1 trillion with Biden selling us stuff. Much of it we don't need. You know, somebody said, oh, the shelves are going to be open. Well, maybe the children will have $2 instead of $30, you know? And maybe the $2 will cost a couple of bucks more than they would normally. But
first of all, we're talking about a lot of things that are way more fundamental and necessary than dolls, but also, could you have come up with a more out of touch way to respond to that? You know, maybe the kids will have $2 instead of $30 like I had growing up. It's like, what are you talking about? So out of touch. Last compliment moment, and then we'll talk about something else.
Go ahead, Pete.
Well, Mr. President, I think we're controversial because we're over the target. And like so many things, Mr. President, you inherited a demoralized military that could...
Okay, you're over the target in the sense of like if you were shooting at a target and then like let's pretend we're doing archery and then you just shoot up into the sky. Oh, actually, you know, it's over the target. He said, what was it? An axe? An axe? It's over the target in the same way that Pete Hegseth was over the target here. Wait, let me start this. Right. You tried to throw the axe at the target and instead you hit a drummer because you're throwing axes outside with people around. You got over the target in that way, Pete. Then for some reason, despite him announcing he was leaving, Trump saying he was leaving, Elon Musk is still the bane of our existence and is sitting there with two hats because he thinks he's a real funny guy.
I am become meme.
And it says Gulf of America on it.
Elon, I love the double hat, by the way. He's the only one that can do that. Get away with it.
Well, Mr. President, you know, they say I wear a lot of hats.
Legalize comedy.
He wears a lot of hats. Do you get it? Do you get it? Do you get it, Jaden? He's being funny. He's rich and funny. Maybe that's why he has so many kids. He's such a heartthrob.
He's done an incredible job. $150 billion. Think of that.
Yeah. It's 160 now.
Yeah, 160. They said, oh, it could have been more. And a lot of stuff is being worked on. That number could be doubled and even tripled. A lot of things are being worked on that we don't count yet because it's not quite there. But you've done a fantastic.
Guys, they said they were going to cut. Well, I think it was $1 trillion. It's gone around. At some point, I think it was 2, but it was $1 trillion they're going to cut in waste, fraud, and abuse. And now it's them fakely saying that they have cut 160 billion, which they haven't. But that's their claim of what they've cut. And Elon said in his stint there, he was going to cut $1 trillion. And of whatever the real number is within the 160 billion, almost all, if not all of that, is not waste, fraud, or abuse. It's just stuff they didn't like, which is different than this.
But you have been treated unfairly, but the vast majority of people in this country really respect and appreciate you, and this whole room can say that very strongly. You've really been a tremendous help. You opened up a lot of eyes.
Look at that crew. Look, and they have Trump hats all over the table. This is my nightmare. This is my hell. If I died and went to hell, I would wake up in this room right here. Put that back, full screen it, right here. Hello, Luke. Welcome to hell. I'm Satan. Now tell Trump something that you love about him. Tell Trump something that you love about him. Welcome to hell. Gargle. 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 Trump. That would be hell. That would be it right there. All right. Well, what was even said in that clip? That, I need to address this. That Elon Musk has vast majority support in the United States. Anytime Trump makes a claim like that, he means the opposite, because Elon is one of the most unpopular figures in American politics, is what he meant to say. Then RFK Jr.
We have launched the autism study at your direction. By September, we'll have some of the first answers. Within 6 months of that, we will have definitive answers, not only for autism, but for the etiology of a whole range of autoimmune diseases that have become.
That's not how science works. That's not how science works. You don't say, by this date, we're going to know the answer to a question, a medical question, a scientific question. You can say we're going to have finished the studies that we're running, but that doesn't mean you'll have a definitive answer. Like, imagine if I said, I'm setting out to find a cure to cancer, and I will have the cure by the end of the summer. But what if you don't, though? What if you don't, though? Which is why, friend of the show and contributor, Brittany Page, has correctly pointed out that there's real fear there's going to be fabrications going on. Because if you can say definitely you're going to have an answer to a scientific question, again, he's not saying the studies will be over. He's saying we'll have the definite answers. That's the quote, definite answers. Then it seems like if you don't get the answer you want, you might just say you got the answer that you want. And then I'll just summarize. Linda McMahon jumps on to say that we've cut the staffing of the Department of Education by 50%, and that's so wonderful. And then Pam Bondi says this about fentanyl.
3,400 kilos of fentanyl since you've been your last 100 days, which saved, are you ready for this, media? 258 million lives. Kids are dying every day.
So the claim is that Trump saved 258 million lives, which first of all is not how that works. But second of all, if that's the metric that we're going to go off of, Aaron Reichlin-Melnick, again with a great point, if fentanyl seizures equal saving lives, then surely she would happily say that President Biden saved a much higher number of lives since fentanyl seizures are actually down over the last 2 months. No, I obviously say that tongue in cheek. We all know the answer, and you can see the visual there. Did she say that Biden saved billions of lives during his presidency with fentanyl seizures? No, she didn't. Pam. Pam, are you lying to me? I didn't think you could lie to me, Pam. Come on, Pam. Be better. Be better. Now, I'm glad that fentanyl's being seized at lower levels than it was before, but I'm glad it's being seized. Seize it. Get it. We don't want it. As Trump suggested, tariff the fentanyl. Tariff my body fat. Tariff cheeseburgers. Make me stop eating them. Share your thoughts in the comments.